Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2019 Chevy Express, better known as a FedEx truck. Up front is a 6.0 liter V8, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this FedEx truck. Am I excited? Now, I'm super excited to be driving this FedEx truck because it's a FedEx truck that has a mind of its own. This is one of the many versions of the Chevy Express, and as you can see, this has lived a long, hard life as a delivery van. And so there's a lot of interesting things that you might not know about, even though you probably see these every single day. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me borrow their Chevy Express van for today's video. More info on them at the end of the video, but if you would like to browse their inventory, you can do so in the description below. But let's get back to that 6-liter under the hood. Well, that was actually kind of the norm here for the Express vans. You could also get them with the 4.3-liter V6. And they offered a couple different engines throughout time, but this was kind of the workhorse. This actually only has 88,000 miles on it, but I'm sure it has so many more miles just idling, sitting around, running, but not necessarily driving. Delivery vans like this don't usually go that far, but they're on all the time. And so you might see one of these with only 88,000 on it, but it's probably more than that. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. It's a 6-speed transmission, and I'm just happy that it's upgraded over the 4-speed that the Expresses used to use. It does the job, it works, and I'm very happy about that. Last but not least, it of course is rear-wheel drive. How does it feel to drive a FedEx truck? Well, it's interesting because the cab is actually more narrow than the box itself, and we luckily have camera systems to help out with that, but you do feel smaller when looking forward, but then you look back and realize that you're bringing an entire New York apartment with you. That being said, visibility is pretty good. Ride quality is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Is it a plush Rolls Royce? Absolutely not, but I'm also not losing my lunch or bruising a rib driving it down the street, and that's nice to see. And, you know, this is what it's like to drive a FedEx van. I mean, I just think that's the coolest thing in the world. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because we do have some very interesting delivery-specific features in here. Well, in front of me, we get the standard gauge cluster. We have 5 gauges. Off to the left is oil pressure and coolant temperature. In the center is the speedometer, and off to the right is battery voltage and fuel. The steering wheel looks plucked right out of the Silverado. We have cruise control off to the left, selector, source, and volume off to the right. To the left of me, we have a climate control vent along with our information buttons for the gauge cluster information, headlight switches, and gauge dimmer switch, as well as a dome light. And moving on to the door, we have power windows and power locks. This feels very, very early 2000s over here. 2 things on the windshield I want to mention. First of all, I do have a rear view mirror. This does absolutely nothing but stare at the door behind me. It's kind of funny that it even still has it. But then we do have an auxiliary camera system put in by FedEx. So I get 3 different views around the truck, straight back, left, and right while I'm driving, but it's actually attached to the turn signal. So when I turn on my turn signal, it will enlarge that side of the vehicle's camera to help with my blind spots. Really, really cool added tech here for the FedEx delivery. Moving into the center, we get our very basic climate controls, fan speed off to the left, temperature in the center, where to send it off to the right. And we do get a screen as an aftermarket radio. Now, I don't know if FedEx put this in or if a owner was between FedEx and North Naperville Autos. I don't know. I don't really have much history or knowledge about this head unit. To the left, we have our trailer button, then we have the 12-volt outlet, traction control off and on star, and then this ominous red button. Oh, that's just lights behind me. Okay, it's very ominous and scary, but it's actually just built-in lights. Oh, very nice. Okay. Then we do have a wall outlet and another 12-volt outlet off to the far right, so you can keep your devices charged or plug extra accessories in if you want to. Then we do have a center console with 3 cup holders, so we'll do a big friggin' bottle test, and I'm happy to report that it does, in fact, pass the big friggin' bottle test. Then we have some storage and no proper center console. However, I actually want to jump back to the steering wheel because it has a very interesting feature down at the bottom. Now, if you're a criminal, promise me you won't watch this next part. Promise! Promise me. Underneath the steering wheel is a big chunky button that has a beeper attached to it, and this is how you get the truck in and out of gear. So if you're up delivering a package, no one can just jump in, shove it into gear, and go unless they hit this button. So it's actually pretty Zack proof because it took me quite a while to figure out why I couldn't get it into drive, but that's how you do it. The seats are okay. They're relatively comfortable. They've been put through, well, quite frankly, hell and back. I can't imagine how many butts have jumped in and out of this seat. So there's that. However, we don't have any back seats, but let's hop into the back and talk about the rear cargo area. All right. This feels illegal to just jump into the back of a FedEx truck, but here we go. Big step here, and there's a lot more wood in the construction. Oh, that just closed behind me. There's a lot more wood in the construction than I would have thought. Also, very strange, this is very, very thin. That's just the sunlight coming through, and it's actually an overcast day. So, never knew that about FedEx trucks, and the whole suspension is moving as I'm walking. There we go. So, you lift from the middle and then pull it out, and these are the trays that they would put packages on. Very, very cool. Here, let me set up the camera. All right, I hope that's a good angle. So, lift here. There we go. And out like that. Then we have our shelf to put packages on. Then to close it back up, there you go. Not the quietest thing in the world, but definitely very cool. So I can show you here. There you go. And it stays up against the wall the whole time. As you can see, this is the door that kept flying open into the front cockpit, of which this actually does have not only an aerodynamic top on it, but some added storage up here, and you can stand up right here next to the driver's seat. You can just fully stand up, which is really cool. It says Premier Fiberglass Company Incorporated, 8/29/19, the day after my birthday. Very, very cool. So back here, this is actually a really good shot of the back of a FedEx truck when completely empty. And we also do have a side door. So there you go. We can peek out here. Very, very cool. This is the back. I never thought I would see anything like this. You never see this side of the shipping. How many of your guys' packages have probably been in here? That's just, it's really wonderful to think about. Very, very cool. One of my favorite parts of the job is doing stuff like this, and you could probably tell in my voice why. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and of course this is so, I mean, you've seen a million of them. Chevy Express isn't anything cool, unique, or interesting. They've made it the same for years and years and years. I reviewed a standard Express earlier this year, as well as the possible replacement, which is the GM or Chevy Bright Drop. But this, I mean, how many of these have you seen? This is such a piece of lore and history here in America, but also worldwide. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving this FedEx truck for the last little while? Well, I think it's incredibly cool, and it was really awesome to take a look at something that we've all seen every day, but probably haven't had the opportunity to drive. This is so unique to me, and I get to experience something that millions of people see on a daily basis. It's almost a forbidden fruit at that point. I never knew about the shift lock underneath the steering wheel. I never knew about the added camera systems or the big boxiness or the fact that natural light actually comes through the back of the FedEx van. That's so weird. But I also want to talk about FedEx as a whole. FedEx was founded in the early 1970s, 1973, actually right as the oil crisis was beginning. And it was founded by a man by the name of Fred Smith, the most generic name on planet Earth. He had this idea in the early 1960s when he was in college, and then he went off to the Vietnam War, where he learned a lot about logistics. At the time, there wasn't a single carrier that could take a package from one location and see it through the entire way. What would often happen is a carrier would take it to a boat service, and the boat service would take it across the pond, and then another carrier service would pick it up there, and then finally drop it off to a delivery point. Fred Smith wanted to have everything under one umbrella. One single company would take your package from beginning to end, and this was actually a revolutionary idea in the 1970s. And so he learned about efficiency through the military, and as luck would have it, he actually ended up winning a military contract years later. He would ship equipment for the US military. However, there was another thing that he learned during his time in Vietnam that saved him. Not only his efficiency skills, but his blackjack skills. In Vietnam, there wasn't a whole lot to do on your off time, so they would play blackjack over and over and over and over and over again, as well as, of course, poker and other card games. And in the late 1970s, FedEx wasn't very profitable. They were discovering this whole new world of shipment. So, while Fred was in Las Vegas for a work thing, he got a $5,000 voucher, nearly everything that the company had left, and started playing blackjack and poker, and he was good at it. And he left the casino that night with $27,000. And that $27,000 was enough to cover the fuel costs for the next week at the company. And that week was all that they needed to turn it around. They became profitable yet again. One of the largest shipping companies in the world remained afloat at one point due to Las Vegas gambling. That is one of my favorite business stories I've ever heard. So next time you see a FedEx truck, just know that the only reason you're seeing it is because of Las Vegas gambling. That is something super cool. But this truck is awesome as well. I love utility trucks. I love when vehicles are unabashedly built for one purpose. This is meant to get as many packages to a place as it can while also fitting on narrow streets. This isn't a giant box truck. They have those too. But this was able to do around town deliveries. This will deliver to that corner pet store. This will deliver to your aunts, uncles, grandmas, and grandpas. This is, well, besides the Grumman LLV, the backbone of the United States. And so to pick through one today has been extra special. This was fun. This was unique and a little bit eye-opening. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me borrow their FedEx van for today's video. They are absolutely wonderful. I've reviewed plenty of their vehicles in the past. This is something that really caught my eye when it crossed their website, and I highly recommend that you go check out their website. They offer financing, shipping, and mobile detailing, so they are the one-stop shop here in the Chicagoland area. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.